Welcome to yet another episode of Wellbeing Wednesdays with Harbinder Narula, where we uncover real stories that inspire us to live better, think better, and take charge of our health. Today's guest is someone whose life radically changed after a wake up call, not from an investor, but from his own body. Ritesh Bawri was told he had to take care of his health. And instead of brushing it off, he dove right in. What followed was a full transformation, not just for himself, but for his parents and eventually for thousands of others he serves today. He's now a health transformation coach, an author of Amazing Health Transformation, the book that he's authored, and the founder of NIRA Health, a science led platform that helps people reclaim their well being in a truly personalized way, where he's targeting those who cook for his clients. Let's hear his powerful journey from self care to healthcare innovation. Welcome to BW Wellbeing World, Ritesh.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
When we speak about healthcare, it's more about trying to recover from something that has
Okay.
happened. But in well-being, we're talking about why do we even get sick, or why should we not look at doing things or living our life in a manner so that we don't really get sick. So thank you so much for joining us today. Let's start at the very beginning. You weren't into health and wellness space originally. You were into
Mhm.
manufacturing cement, which was your family business. What happened in your life that made you realize something needed to change?
Right, absolutely. So, no, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's a true honor. I'm very excited. Being able to tell my story is something that is, of great joy and happiness to me. It's an interesting story. Like I said, I knew nothing about medicine. My inflection came really when I was able to change my own life. I was diabetic, hypertensive, etc., etc. In about 6 months, I was able to reverse all my conditions. That led me into this journey of seeking. I'm somebody who likes to learn, who likes to read, who likes to understand, who likes to, in some sense, synthesize that knowledge. So I started synthesizing knowledge, applying it to myself. I found that I was able to sort of prevent or reverse many of the conditions that I had. The inflection really came when I started impacting on other human beings. There is a deep joy of being able to make your life better, right? Everybody desires it, right? I think not everyone gets the chance to. So for me, it became a God-given opportunity to impact your life positively. And that's the journey that I've been on ever since.
Awesome. So, Ritesh, not only did you reverse your own health condition, but you actually helped your parents improve theirs.
Yeah.
Uh, can you walk us through that particular phase and what were the simple but powerful changes you made at home?
Ji, ji. Absolutely. So let me illustrate, and I think my mom and dad will be happy if I tell the story. Mom had immunity issues. Essentially, her immune system was very weak. So she would catch infections quickly. If she touched something, her body would, like, she'd catch a cold very quickly. Interestingly, her reason was because she was on a sattvic diet. So what she called a sattvic diet was essentially meant like two or three types of food, two or three types of vegetables, basically eating at home every day, roti, falka, and sabzi, dal. And that's it. Like that's a sattvic diet. You don't eat anything outside of that. She never ate outside. She never ate anything fancy. She never ate junk food at all. But funnily, because she was on a restricted diet, she was not getting the diversity of food required. So there were a lot of minerals, vitamins, etc., etc. They were just missing from her diet. What we had to do was simply add those back, create a little more diversity. The minute we added diversity, the body started healing. The body healed, the immunity went up, and suddenly she was fine. So it was not complicated. Similarly, in my dad's case, I think we are Marwadi. So generally speaking, we tend to put on weight. Dad had reached a certain place in his life where he had accumulated a little bit of weight. Now, why weight actually is related to both blood pressure and type 2 diabetes is because you think about it this way: when I'm eating more than I need, first, actually, that food converts into blood sugar. And it's the excess blood sugar that is being stored in your body as body fat. Okay. The body fat is being transported by blood to the rest of your body. Right. So think about it this way: I've eaten more than I need. It's elevated my blood sugar. So my blood sugar is high, type 2 diabetes. Then that blood sugar is being stored as fat. But because it's being transported by blood, my blood is becoming more viscose, thick. So any substance that's more viscose needs more pressure to send. Illustratively, that's one of the reasons his blood pressure went up. So minute we cut back on his weight, the blood sugar went down, the fat storage went down, the fat transportation went down, blood pressure went away.
Ritesh, at what point did you actually realize that it is not just about me or my family,
Yeah.
that I need to go deeper and learn the science and kind of be of help to others?
जी. So sharam aane laga actually, frankly, because when I first started this, people started asking. I think initially they were all asking whether I got some disease because here was this boy who was like this, suddenly became like this, right? So obviously everyone was worried, no, like what the hell happened? I can send you a before after picture if you like. I mean, it's very dramatic. It was a very dramatic change. So obviously there was a lot of concern, ki kya hua? Then people started asking like, what did you do? Can I also do the same? So in the beginning, I didn't know what I was doing. I was happily sharing whatever I knew. But when the numbers started becoming so large, like literally I'd have 20 people sitting at home waiting for me, then I said, look, I need to be a little more disciplined about my advice. I need to learn, I need to study. So that's when I think 2016 I went and studied. I did the Harvard course, I did the nutrition course in Tufts, read more formal, started reading a lot more medical journal. Because शर्म आने लगा कि मैं advice तो दे रहा हूँ, like it should not be unqualified advice.
I know, I know. It's actually funny because internet is full of people who I like to term as enthusiasts, health
Yeah.
enthusiasts, because
जी.
they have made an effort, they've figured out what worked for them. But I don't think it is unfair for them to come and give tips to others,
Right.
assuming
Yeah.
that whatever has worked for you would work for everyone else the same way. So I
Yeah.
think it's our duty to differentiate between those who are qualified to give information versus those who really want to go and inspire, but should be
जी.
staying away from giving tips. Uh,
जी.
but the Ritesh, आपने जाके एक किताब लिखी. You wrote
जी.
a book called Amazing Health Transformation. I have a copy of this book. This is amazing. And it seems to have resonated with a wide audience. And but if you were to distill two or three things or ideas that can help people transform their health, what would these be?
Sure. Thank you. So first of all, I think the reason why the book resonated was because it was first person story. It was my struggle and then how I changed myself. And essentially, if my argument was, look, if I can change myself, anybody can change themselves, right? Because I was the epitome of everything that can go wrong.
Correct.
Uh,
Correct.
in terms of conceptual understanding, I think there are two. I think the first conceptual understanding is this notion called homeostasis.
Mhm,
In fact, I have a chapter on that in my book.
mhm,
It's a simple concept. It basically means the body has limits, physical limits. You want to keep your body within those physical limits. So,
mhm,
illustratively, let's say you need to drink 2 liters of water. You don't want to be drinking 10. You don't want to be drinking half. Your body, let's say your heartbeat is 70. You don't want your heart to be beating at 150 all the time. But you also don't want it to be beating at 20 all the time. So I think first concept is if you can keep your body in balance, I think there's nothing better. The second is that nutrition is clearly the mother of healing. Nutrition needs balance. Again, imagine I had too much magnesium, I'll get sick. Imagine I have no magnesium, I'll get sick again. Imagine I have too much copper, I'll get sick. But imagine I have no copper, I'll get sick again. My mother, right? Her immunity was low because she's not getting copper. So I think those are the two primary concepts in the book. Always keep your body in balance and nutritionally make sure that you're in balance. I think if you can achieve those two, a lot of the problems that we have in India would go away.
You went after you got yourself qualified with the science behind what your hypothesis was and what actually worked. You studied the comparison with what you are doing with the modern science as well as with the ancient health systems.
जी.
You bring the best of both worlds together in your philosophy today after having studied the science as well as executing it in the context of modern as well as traditional wisdom.
Absolutely. No, I think it's such a fabulous question. Thank you for that. The beauty of India is that we are one part modern, one part Indian. We are like, if you want to qualify it, we are one part Bharat, one part India. Because आपके दिमाग में you are as Indian as you want to be, but you are as भारत as you want to be. तो आप जब घर जाते हैं तो आपको नुस्खा जो चाहिए वो हल्दी का पानी का चाहिए. राइट, मेरी दादी माँ जो कहती थी वो चाहिए, राइट, आई प्रॉमिस यू। अगर वो हल्दी पानी से मैं ठीक हो सकता हूँ और कुछ भी नहीं चाहिए मेरे को, राइट। सो दैट्स द भारत पार्ट ऑफ इट। बट वी ऑल्सो वांट मॉडर्न साइंस, वी वांट डायग्नोस्टिक्स, वी वांट दिस एंड वी वांट दैट एंड वी वांट NAD and we want resveratrol and this, that, and the other, right? So I think that's very uniquely Indian. And I think I just somehow became that voice of bridge to say, look, at the end, what do I care about? I care about what works. Right? If haldi works for you, then more power to haldi. If turmeric, if let's say pepper works for you, then more power to pepper. If cinnamon works for you, more power to cinnamon. But if, let's say resveratrol is working for you, then so be it.
Right.
My lens is very simple. My lens is that you have a symptom. I want to take away the symptom. And whatever will work for that, problem to go away, we will apply it. I found there's a lot of wisdom in ancient science, in the Indian traditional way of doing things. There's been a messaging issue. I think there's been a communication issue. And of course, in any ancient science, there'll be some noise, right, that creeps in. But otherwise, I think Ayurveda and naturopathy are wonderful tools. If you know how to apply them, they're amazing, absolutely amazing.
Um, since we were talking about the modern science with the traditional wisdom of what we've seen in Ayurveda and naturopathy, now let's talk about NIRA Health. You know,
Great.
uh, to be able to bring these together in a modern scientific manner, there is technology that we can put to use today, you know.
Correct.
And you launched NIRA Health. What inspired you to launch a health tech startup after your transformation? What was the gap that you were trying to fill through this startup called NIRA Health?
Yeah, what a wonderful question again. I really appreciate your questions. So the thinking was very simple. The thinking was that we came to a point where we understood the science. बस साइंस समझ में आ गया हमको, होम्योस्टेसिस चाहिए, बैलेंस चाहिए, ये चाहिए, वो चाहिए, सब कुछ समझ में आ गया. Of course, we started professing it to anyone who would listen, right? Whether they were clients or they were friends or they were family, anyone would be listening would be happy to tell. What we encountered was very interesting. What we said was, look, your science makes sense, your logic makes sense. आप जब कह रहे हैं कि इस तरीके से blood pressure ठीक होता है, it kind of makes sense, right? It's very simple and obvious. But I have an operational problem. My operational problem is I'm Indian. I live in an Indian joint family with 30 people. I have somebody cooking, maybe my mother, my wife, or somebody else cooking for me. And आप जो कह रहे हो उसको तो कुछ भी नहीं समझ में आ रहा. Like it just doesn't make any sense, right? So, like, yes, I get your science, I get your logic, I get everything, but how do I operationalize it? So the entire tech platform was to solve that last mile operational problem. So in fact, one of the key features of the system is we give instructions directly to the person cooking in any language you want. So Punjabi, Marathi, Gujarati, Bengali, Assamese, we don't care. We deliver the advice or the recommendation on app directly to the person cooking. So obviously everything is being controlled. And we joke with our clients and say, आपका काम खाली खाना है, उतना तो आप कर ही सकेंगे. So it just became an operational problem that we were solving. Again, uniquely Indian solution.
This is very interesting, because usually we try and target and serve the person who we are trying to, solve
Cure.
problem for or cure or heal.
Yeah.
Here
Yeah.
you are actually going to be working with someone else who's
Yeah.
going to be working on them. Have you
Right.
ever seen yourself or your company being in a position where these guys don't understand the purpose behind what you're trying to do?
See.
And for example, I mean, a cook at home,
See.
they just want to make food as tasty as possible. So, जितना तेल कम डालने के लिए बोलो, उसका हाथ थमता
उतना ही
नहीं,
ज्यादा आ जाता है.
you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, have you faced such kind of problems or a pushback or frustrating situations where you want the cook to do something but वो करता नहीं है?
Correct. No, many, many, many times. And again, the journey has been very, very interesting for us. So, of course, we encounter these problems. The cook doesn't have a phone. If they have a phone, they don't have an email address to log in. If they have all of that, then he says, phone देख के कोई खाना बनाता है क्या? आप मजाक कर रहे हैं हमसे, ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता है. But I think what very quickly started to happen, I'll tell you a real life story of someone I met only 2 weeks ago in Chennai. They had hired a young boy, 17-year-old from Himachal, who knew nothing about cooking. And 2 years ago, they started working with us. Today, he makes, penne al dente. He makes avocado sourdough toast. And so his life has got upgraded. He now goes to his community and he tells, post pictures on Facebook and Instagram and said, देखो मैंने ये बनाया है. So I think, that's really the future. Like we are uplifting in some ways their skill sets. I think they're taking pride in what they do.
Awesome.
And I think I'm a firm believer that the home kitchen is actually the answer to good health. So if you can solve that problem, it's a very interesting problem to solve.
Ritesh, we are convinced today that
Yeah.
each body is different from another body,
Yeah.
which means the best way to actually serve a person to either be healed or cured is to
Yeah.
personalize the treatment or
Sure.
the effort for that particular person.
Yeah.
And and we've seen that there's today we have technology which is available, helps us understand the predictability. And
Yeah.
if we understand the predictability, we understand how we could personalize to that particular person. And that
Correct.
leads us to the third P, which is the prevention. So it's
Sure.
predictability, then personalization and prevention.
Sure.
Uh, how do you at NIRA actually personalize guidance or interventions for people? And what
Sure.
are the results that you have seen? Because the people that you're trying to serve are different from the people through whom you are serving
Trying
those.
to serve. Yeah. Sure. Sure. Absolutely. No, again, very, very, very good question. So there are multiple things we do. One is obviously there's a very strong data stream coming to us. So, for example, we integrate with every device in the world, Garmin, Aura, Whoop, Apple, you name it. We pull data from that. It's giving me real-time data, what's actually happening to your body, your sleep scores, your heart rates, the number of steps you've taken, the number of activities you've done, and so on and so forth. That's a very good data source. Obviously, we also collect metabolic data, so blood reports and things like that on an ongoing basis. We also collect things like culture and preferences and habits. But there's a lot of data that goes into our engine to make the recommendation for you. What's really interesting about what we've learned is all of that's okay. जितना भी आप personalize कर लीजिए उसके लिए, where it really breaks down actually is what we call your religion. And your religion is not Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, or Hinduism. Your religion is the way you live your life. There's a certain way in which you live your life, right? हमारे घर में ऐसा ही होता है. And what we've started personalizing for is that हमारे घर में क्या होता है. सो आप मान लीजिए आप इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट हैं, आप हफ्ते में 2 बार फैक्ट्री जाते हैं, हफ्ते में 1 बार एक फ्लाइट लेते हैं, शाम को आपको इटालियन चाहिए और सुबह आपको इंडियन चाहिए, राइट? आई एम सेइंग फाइन, मेरे को क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है? धर्म आपका है, साइंस मेरा है, इसको बैलेंस करने का साइंस मेरा है, धर्म आपका है, आपको जैसे जीना जी लीजिए,
Uh,
हमको तो बैलेंस ही क्रिएट करना है, तो बैलेंस हम क्रिएट कर देंगे. एंड वी बिकम डैम गुड एट दिस, वी बिकम डैम गुड एट solving for the science within your constraint.
love
That's, I think, the true personalization that we've done.
solving s- for your science with
Yes.
constraints. That's a,
Yes, exactly.
that's an amazing the definition of what exactly you do. Uh,
Right.
Ritesh, one thing that most people struggle with is consistency. शुरुआत तो
जी.
सब लोग कर लेते हैं. जैसे अब
Correct.
अपनी अपनी जिंदगी में देखें, somebody came and told you, made you feel aware, and you began on that journey, and
Yeah.
you turned that into your purpose. But most people begin
Hmm.
with a lot of enthusiasm, but are not able to adhere to
जी.
what they have set out to do. Uh,
जी.
you've coached many people now.
जी.
What
जी.
are some of the mindset shifts that you think can help someone stick to their health goals and not give
Right.
up midway?
Right. Absolutely. Again, fantastic question. The answer will be a little bit counterintuitive. So the answer actually is that typically what tends to happen in this field and in this journey that any human being is trying to walk is that one day for some reason, right, whatever, there's some motivating factor, someone else was not well, you were not well, you saw someone else go through some incident or whatever, and that triggered an action. But human beings are very 0-1, राइट. सो 1 तारीख को मैं उठा एंड मैंने कहा कि आज से मैंने अपनी जिंदगी को ठीक करना है. एंड क्या होता है, वो फिर 0 से हम सीधा एक पे चले जाते हैं. सो आवर लेसन इज ऑलवेज बिन दैट स्टार्ट विद वेरी वेरी स्मॉल इंक्रीमेंटल स्टेप्स. राइट. आज आपको कुछ नहीं करना, आप ऐसे कीजिए, आज जो आप 2 रोटी खा रहे थे उसको आपने डेट कर देना. राइट, इट्स नथिंग। बाकी का आप जो भी कर रहे हैं सेम कीजिए, कुछ भी मत चेंज कीजिए। आपको स्टेप्स बढ़ाने हैं, आप 10,000 छोड़ दीजिए, आप 1,000 स्टेप चलते हैं। कोई बात नहीं सर, आप कल ना ऐसे कीजिए 1,100 चल लीजिए। सो लाइक फॉर एनीवन टू गो फ्रॉम 1,000 to 1,100 इज नॉट दैट हार्ड, बट टू गो फ्रॉम 1,000 to 11,000 इज वेरी हार्ड।
Correct,
So
correct.
I think the best process that we have learned that works is small baby incremental steps within your capacity, never taking you out of your comfort zone, never doing anything crazy. So we'd never do anything on the extremes. We'd not do crash anything, crash exercise, crash diet, crash anything. It really doesn't work.
Right.
Whatever you are, slowly, slowly, incrementally, we will change you.
Mm.
So what happens is this, I'm sure you would have heard this concept called flow,
Yep.
where I'm well within my capacity and I'm getting joy from what I'm doing.
Mhm.
So the best way to describe what we do is we create flow for our clients. It's well within their capacity and he's enjoying it, right? तो इसमें क्या फिर तो कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है।
I love this concept that it is well within your capacity and you're enjoying it and just go
जी,
with the flow. You flow
जी,
into that,
correct,
shift that you are trying to make. Uh,
absolutely,
you know, again, Ritesh, you since you worked with a lot of people, you've coached them.
जी,
What is that one common myth that you may have observed among most people that you came across that you would wish for them to unlearn कि यार ये भूल जाओ इस चीज को तो अपने जहन से निकाल दीजिए ये ऐसी
absolutely,
क्या एक चीज आपने ऑब्जर्व करी है सब में
correct, correct. Actually, all human beings जल्दी में है। वे ऑल इन हरी, नो, वी ऑल वांट एवरीथिंग कि भाई मैं चुटकी बजाऊं और कल सुबह मैं ठीक हो जाऊं।
हाँ
बिकॉज कल मेरे दोस्त को कुछ हुआ था। आई
राइट
डोंट वांट कि मंडे मेरे को हो जाए। तो
हाँ
आज और मंडे के पहले पहले सब कुछ ठीक हो जाए। ओके, द ह्यूमन बॉडी डजंट वर्क लाइक दिस। आप ऐसे सोचिए, आप कमरे में बैठे हैं, मान लीजिए अभी 25 डिग्री है, एक सेकंड में मैं उसको 50 कर दूं तो यू विल फाइंड इट टू हॉट, राइट? सो जस्ट लाइक दैट, एनी चेंज यूर ट्राइंग टू मेक इन द ह्यूमन बॉडी, इफ यू ट्राई टू मेक इट लाइक दैट instantly, obviously it's going to have a repercussion. So, the most important lesson I can share from my experience has been take a longer window to heal yourself. Most of us who are in this age bracket, I'm 50, in this age bracket, we are going to live for another 80 to 100 years. I mean, the medical science is so good. I think the journey of good health is, already there with us. I think most of us are going to live for a long time. So, then why do I want to be fit on Monday? No, एक साल लग जाए।
राइट राइट अच्छा रितेश एक चीज बताइए आई मीन यू हैड समबडी हु केम एंड टोल्ड यू दैट रितेश यू डोंट seem to be well I
जी,
need you to go get your test done
जी,
और आपने अब नीरा हेल्थ शुरू किया है हाउ डू यू गो बियॉन्ड दोज हु एक्चुअली कम टू यू
yeah,
how do you take that step to go meet someone and say that listen something seems like wrong with you why don't you take care of yourself without the other person feeling okay this guy is trying to sell Nira Health to me
right,
because we are living in a an era where we have a lot of distrust in somebody trying to come and tell us something to do
correct, yeah,
without being seen as having somebody
selling.
having a vested interest.
Yeah, yeah. So I found an interesting way to do it, and really, like it became a journey for myself. I started expressing myself and what I was learning. So I started a blog, I think, in 2015, where every day I would write on something. What is a carbohydrate? What is a fat? What is nobody knew. I didn't know, right? I didn't know what a carbohydrate was. So मैं लिखने लगा। करते 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 अभी 10 साल हो गए। Every single day I write. It's a short article, 250, 300 words. It kind of gives you an understanding of what is resveratrol, what is NAD, is it good for you, is it bad for you, how much sleep do you need. Now, there's obviously no selling. It's just free information that anyone can access. Anyone can go to the internet and read it. I found that was the best way to persuade because this was just free knowledge. In 1 minute you could read and understand. That became my way of trying to reach the community to say, पढ़ लीजिए, मर्जी आपकी है, करना करिए, नहीं करना मत करिए, मैं तो कुछ नहीं मांग रहा हूं आपसे। ऐसे डायरेक्टली आप बोले तो अनफॉर्चुनेटली वी लिव इन अ स्केप्टिकल वर्ल्ड।
Let me bring this back to the person who may be listening today right now.
जी,
They've been just told by their doctor or some well-wisher that they need to take care of their health.
जी,
What's your message to that person someone who's right at the beginning of their journey, what would be
जी.
your message to them?
Sure, it's a really good question. Again, I think what the most objective way to deal with this situation is to understand some parameters. So I'd say the most important body parameter is what we call body fat. How much is your body fat? Like that's an excellent parameter. I'd say how much is your sleep? It's an excellent parameter. What is your heart rate, resting and at on a daily basis? What is what we call HRV, heart rate variability? So there'd be 7, 8 parameters like that. Test yourself against those parameters. See where you stand. Google will give you all the yardsticks of where you should be, right? Take that as a basis. Again, there's a lot of information out there how to fix many of these things. Work to fix it. If you can fix these 7, 8 parameters, I'd say 70, 80% of the reasons why we go to doctors would be affected positively. Uh, I have great respect for doctors. I have great respect for the opinions they carry. If something were to really happen to me, I promise you I'd run to a doctor. I'm not going to say come to NIRA Health because I think the spectrum is different. A doctor is someone who intervenes when there's a crisis. If at all we are trying to do something is to delay the crisis. सो जितना आप उसको डिले कर सकते हैं उतना अच्छा है नो डॉक्टर विल से नो ऑल डॉक्टर्स विल से कर लीजिए बहुत अच्छा है आपके लिए if there's a crisis please go to your doctor because it would be unwise to take a real crisis and say मैं कुछ नहीं करता you know there is someone on Instagram telling me what to do. I think that would be irresponsible frankly.
Ritesh, what you're doing right now is something that we term as integrated health. You
जी.
know, you're trying to make people live better, feel better, because I feel that अगर आपकी body अच्छी है, आपको, you feel good about it. And that is very, very difficult to explain. And
जी.
have you come across situations where your client that you're working with is somebody who's dealing with cancer or has certain other medical issues, and there's been a pushback by the doctor uh, saying that ये सब फालतू की चीजें इनमें मत करो. And how have you dealt with those kind of situations? And
Surprisingly no.
also, how do you deal with clients who are dealing with things like cancer, etc.?
Gee, no, so again very good question. So surprisingly no. Surprisingly, no. I don't think, I mean, some of the people who come to us are doctors. So we work with diabetologists, we work with cardiologists, we work with all kinds of doctors who come to us to heal, right? I think, I mean, see, you'll always find one in a million who may be different. But I think generally doctors understand that prevention is a good thing for you. Generally, I think most doctors understand that prevention goes hand in hand with medicine. So imagine you have type 2 diabetes, imagine it's uncontrolled, and imagine you are not able to control it. Then medicine is your first course. Then you fix whatever you need to fix. And if by that process your sugar levels start to normalize, you can wean off the medicine. And I think that mix is the right mix. I mean, there are too many sick people out there. I think we need all, right? We need prevention, we need cure, we need all of that. There are lots of conditions which we don't treat. Like, frankly, in 11 years of doing this, I have not found a good answer for cancer. The best answer I know of is early detection. The best way to do early detection is actually a magnetic scan. So if you can do a full body magnetic scan, you'll find even like a pea-sized cancer cell. That's detection. But अगर वो थोड़ा सा advanced stage में चला जाता है, to my knowledge at least, there's no way to reverse it. Then you need the treatment. I know there are lots of books, podcasts, etc., out there that talk about juices and things like that that can cure. At least I have not found the science to be robust.
And
So
Ritesh,
उन cases में will say no.
got it, got it.
Yeah.
Ritesh, your family business was about 80, 90 years of
जी,
manufacturing cement.
जी,
And I assume that, that's a huge responsibility, a huge legacy to take forward. And then you
जी.
suddenly transform yourself and to transform your career. Uh, how do you manage your time between your legacy business and what you are doing today? Something that there's a legacy that you're inheriting as a career, and that is your responsibility, versus your passion and your purpose?
Ji, so thank you. Again,
Is
very
the
good
question of
question.
balance all the time? How do you balance the
Ji,
two?
ji, absolutely. Very good question. Thank you. And you picked the right word, balance. So we've been very fortunate. We had a cement business. We had actually construction materials business for 80 years. We used to make plywood, then we used to make cement. We sold our cement business in 2012. That gave us a little bit of window. Since then, of course, as a family, we've done different things. I'm blessed to have a father who's very active. I'm blessed to have a brother who's very active. So they look after the other sort of work that we do. I'm involved, but my passion is health. I believe that we want to sort of impact people positively, and they've given me that freedom to work on health. So I'm in that sense dedicated myself to health.
And tell me a little bit about your podcast. How did it start, and what is it that you're trying to achieve through your podcast?
Actually, just to get the word out, लाइक बहुत शर्म आ रहा था हमको कि भाई पॉडकास्ट में कैसे जाए मैं प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड कॉन्टेक्स्ट कॉन्टेक्स्ट वाज दैट वी हैव नेवर डन दिस काइंड्स ऑफ थिंग्स
Right.
मैंने कभी जिंदगी में किताब नहीं लिखे थे मैंने
Huh.
कभी भी आई हैव नेवर बीन ऑन वीडियो इवन एवर सो आई वाज वेरी एम्बैरेस्ड but I really wanted to get the word out. I really wanted to get the information out of what's really happening. So a friend of mine connected me to someone. He said, try करते हैं. पहला बनाया मैंने. The first person we interviewed was a young boy that I was working with. And he just came and he said some fascinating things. Like, for example, he said, I put an alarm to go to sleep. पूरा दुनिया puts an alarm to wake up. Here's a boy who's putting an alarm to go to sleep because he said, मेरे को 9 बजे सोना है. तो मैं अलार्म लगाता हूँ कि 9 बज गया सो जाओ. And for me, that whole experience was so good. So I said, look, we are getting the information out. Young kids were inspired. That just became the journey, largely to get the information out.
Awesome. Ritesh, this has been a beautiful conversation, Ritesh. Thank you so much for sharing your remarkable journey from your personal, what I could term as crisis that got,
Yes.
that you came to know of before it actually happened, to becoming a beacon of health transformation. Your story kind of reminds us that our bodies are always speaking to us. It's just that we are not listening to what they're trying to say. And
Agreed.
I personally have a belief that if we were to listen to what is happening inside of us, we will be able to, know much ahead of reaching a stage where we'll be reacting to a crisis that has already happened. And,
Absolutely.
so thank you so much for opening up to us. Thank you so much for doing what you are doing at NIRA Health. And thank you for taking out time to speak with us.
No, it's
And
been a fascinating conversation.
thank you so much. And for the audience, this was Wellbeing Wednesdays with Harbinder Narula. Until next time, take care, stay curious, and keep transforming. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. It helps us bring more people like Ritesh Bawri to our show. Thank you so much, Ritesh.
Thank you so much for having me.